Hey, what's going on there, everybody? My name is Haydn Adams with A Designer That Codes. In today's tutorial, I want to show you how to use the carousel in React Bootstrap inside of Gatsby, but also I want to leverage this thing called the Gatsby Image. It takes advantage of the GraphQL. If you've never used that before, we're going to use this because it really helps to preload your images in a very efficient way. Carousels can take up, if we go back to the carousel, a lot of data because you can have 3, 4, 5, you could have, I guess, 1,000 pictures in this design. And unless you use the GraphQL, it's a very heavy image load inside of your design. And actually, if you think about it, it's SEO and all of those combined because page speed will be affected. So let's take a look at how to build the carousel inside of React Bootstrap, and then we'll apply the Gatsby image to it as well. And with that, let's get started. All right, welcome back to this tutorial on creating a carousel inside of Gatsby JS. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the Gatsby starter default, and I've already gone in and installed the components for the actual React Bootstrap. You can do that, and if you need to pause the video, you're welcome to do so by going to Getting Started inside of reactbootstrap.github. Now, I'm not using the typical Bootstrap that is HTML, CSS. I'm going to leverage the React version since Gatsby is all about React. Your first step you have to do is npm install React Bootstrap and Bootstrap. The second step you have to do is to import the Bootstrap into your design. Since I am running the Gatsby, where'd it go? Since I am running, here it is, too many purple titles going on. I am running the Gatsby default starter, so I've already, if we go into, I've got too many files open here. Inside of my components and inside of my layout.js, since that's the master controller piece, I did already include the Bootstrap minified CSS file to use. So I'm all set to go here. If you are brand new to this, I also have a tutorial video that explains how to install Bootstrap for the very first time. And if this is your first time using Gatsby in general, I have a video that you can use to actually install Gatsby for the very first time, as it does take 6, 7, 8 steps to do so. But once you have it down, you're off to the races. So let me go find this one piece. So to start with the carousel, I'm going to come over to the carousel in components. I'm going to go look for the carousel right down here. And the first slide looks like this. So let's utilize the carousel property to build this first with the missing slides. I get it, it's all right here. And then what we'll do is we'll then go and apply the Gatsby image afterwards. So what I'm going to do, if I get all my containers and different pieces and combined areas, is I first have to declare the actual what carousel is. So if we look at the actual components of the design, or if we getting started, let's go back one step before. Whenever you utilize something from React Bootstrap, yes, this is more ideal in this direction, but what I'm going to do is import, I'm going to say import not button, but carousel. I'm going to do it on the actual index file. So if I go to index, there we go. Up here at the top, I'm going to say import. Now, of course, I'm going to change button to carousel. There it is. And if we save it, it's going to say, whoa, warning symbol. Come on, rebuild. There it is. Warning carousel. Whoa, heavily. It's like 3 or 4 times. It wants to bundle a lot. Slow down, terminal. You're in a rush. Just for that, I'm going to take it out for 1 second. And now it's much happier. So do know if you do try to bring the carousel in and you save it right off the bat, it's going to give a lot of warning signs. It usually does only once, but apparently it's had to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. So on the index page that I'm going to be working on, I'm going to import the carousel. I will not save this file yet because I don't want it to start throwing out so many warning messages in this design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the space after that little spaceman guy under the image, and I'm going to say carousel, as that declares where the carousel is going to go. I'm then going to say carousel dot item, and this opens and closes because we have to contain things inside the item of the carousel. Each item, if we say this will be slide number 1 and this will be slide number 2 going forward, and if we have a 3, which we do have, let's just put it right here. So what the carousel does is the carousel is going to cycle through 1, 2, and 3. I've got 3 pictures. They look amazing. Let's take a look at them. Images, slide 01, 02, and 03. I spent all of 5 minutes. Yes, this belongs in some sort of modern art gallery. I agree with that. Anyways, slide 1, 2, and 3, we're going to make inside of the slide item. In general, you can use your image tags. So what you can do is you can say import, I'll say slide 01 from images slide 01.jpg. And this is how you can import a slide by default using the image tag lowercase inside of Gatsby. So under slide 1, I'm going to say image circ equals and say slide, if I can type it properly without messing up, slide 01. I'm going to add an alt. Ignore this for a second. Did I save it? I did not save it yet. It's probably going to yell at me. Yep. It is because I haven't finished the image tag. So under alt, I'm going to say this is the first slide and single close, and there we go. Image circ, success, build, maybe. Oh, what am I not looking for? Images. Oh, this is why I love the terminal. I went too fast and it yelled at me because I can't find a file named images.slide01 because I forgot to say that. And now, success. And with that, I have my carousel somewhere. Here it is. Slide 1. Slide 2 doesn't show. Let's refresh it back. There's slide 1 looking great. So slide 1 works. And of course, we can replicate this and say, well, if there's slide 1, we're going to have slide 02, 02, and we're going to say 2, and this is going to be 3. Let's make these indented a little bit just because of cleanliness factor. And we're going to say slide 02. We're going to copy and paste this to slide 03. So all the import does is it grabs these 3 pictures, import slide 01, and in the image circ, I like to say circ versus source. If you've watched my videos before, you know I'm just constantly saying circ, literally how it's pronounced versus source. Slide 01, it's always proper to have an alt tag. And when I save and take a look at it and refresh, slide 01, slide 02, and slide 03. And it does scale appropriately as you go up and down in the design. If you want to add captions, that's where the piece comes in next. So we're going to add a caption inside of our carousel item because everything fits inside the item to fit with inside the caption. So the picture goes first. Then I'm going to say carousel dot caption. And I will just set a simple paragraph and say, this is the first slide. And if I save it and test it, there it is. And when I go sideways, the caption goes away and comes back here. You can also add an H tag. I'm going to use an H3 because in theory, I probably have an H1 or an H2 somewhere in here. If you needed to use the H2, that's also fine. Remember my rules of markup that HTML is not a design language. Use your H's properly. Don't toss the H4 just because you want to make it look smaller. Use the H3 if that's the order of hierarchy from H1 to H2 to H3 is where you're at. I will say this is a heading. And now when I save, there it is. Because we are using the Bootstrap framework, you can also go in and change that if you want to in CSS. That's up to you, but it's working pretty good. So that's great, but with the imports, that's the basic level, and you're importing 3 possibly very, very big pictures. Now, since they are just gray, the files are just 19, 19, and 19K. There's nothing sizable about this, but that Gatsby astronaut is 167 kilobytes. So if you had any other picture besides just a gray picture going on, they will be bigger and bigger file sizes. And that just means it takes longer and longer for your page to load. Now, the magical thing about Gatsby is we have this piece, we go to the very top, called the Gatsby Image. And per Gatsby speed, it produces speedy, optimized images without the work, where I don't have to go and compress these. Gatsby does it for me. However, we can't use the lowercase image. We have to use the uppercase image and GraphQL. This is also why I did use the Gatsby starter default, is because it comes with needed components. If we scroll down and scroll down, a lot of setting up requires the Gatsby source file system in order to be installed along with the Gatsby plugin Sharp and the Gatsby transformer Sharp. The great part about it is we already have the Gatsby plugin Sharp and the Gatsby transformer Sharp already built in along with the Gatsby image inside of the Gatsby default starter. And that's why I used this starter package in order to actually utilize those different components. You're welcome to go, if you have a brand new template set up, you're welcome to go through the setup process. I've just already jumped over that a few steps because the Gatsby starter already contained the necessary requirements to use the Gatsby image. So I can just start plugging away with this area. Now, full disclosure, this is going to require some GraphQL coding, and at first I got confused what GraphQL was, and then I got used to it as I went forward. The reason why I learned the GraphQL was it's already baked into the image.js. They already use it in a little different way because they did use a component, but we can still follow the querying and the language going forward, just like they did the Gatsby. I keep saying the Gatsby. The Gatsby astronaut. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I have to say that 3 times fast to get my brain back around Gatsby astronaut. So we're going to build the same situation with the image, just in the index, and we're going to change this lowercase image to uppercase image. So I'm going to go down to the very, very bottom of my page. And what I want to do is I want to construct the GraphQL. So I'm going to say export construct, or const query. I'm going to say equals, and I'll say GraphQL, and use the different upper, how do I describe what that, it's the backward slash that's of a superscript. In any respect, I drop it down below. There's probably a correct name for that. I've just typed that backward superscript dash, which is the shift enye in the keyboard. So for me, I'm just used to just typing it, and I don't really know the official definition. This is where my designer brain comes in and not the developer brain comes in. So I have to query these different pictures using GraphQL. So I'm going to type query. And from here, I'm going to do is have a curly bracket open and a curly bracket closed. That's going to open and close. So keep in mind, you have to keep all these pieces open. And I have to give this new variable name. So I'm going to say slide 01, I'll say QL, just for querying or GraphQL, which is different than slide 01 at the top. If this is too confusing and you want to follow along, you can use whatever name you want. You can say elephant or banana. Doesn't matter to me as long as you follow what it is. I'm going to say slide 01 QL. And from here, I have to say what file is associated with this name. In this case, I'm going to say file. And I'm looking for the relative path, capital P, colon, space, and I'll open and close the curly brackets in this design. Hopefully I have it all set to go. Relative path, and then I'm going to say equals, looking for slide 01.jpg. Now I have to open and close the rest of this afterwards, so I'm going to go past the parentheses and open and close the curly brackets again. What do I want this to do with slide 01? Well, I want to use child image sharp in here. Now the child image sharp pertains to Gatsby Image. So we can say child image sharp, specifically the image processing specifications right in the query. So it's going to make this child image sharp. And then we can say below how we want it to work. So we're going to say fluid in this instance. So what I'm going to do is child image sharp, a lot of open curly brackets. I get it. I'm going to say fluid and max width. And I will say, in this case, close that little extra piece. Since I am thinking about a container, I'm going to say 1200 pixels. That's as far and wide as it goes. After that, I have to add one more piece to it all. There's different languages somewhere on this page. I have to find those different areas. There we go. So we want to leverage what's called the Gatsby Transformer Sharp. And I still am inside of the Gatsby image. As I scroll down, I had it on the page and I went back up to find it. So I'm looking for the Gatsby image sharp fluid in this case. So I found the Gatsby image sharp fluid. And how you type this, if we find an example of it, is you have to type the 3 periods and then Gatsby image sharp fluid. So inside the curly brackets, I'm going to say 3 periods, Gatsby image sharp fluid. So we then have a variable we can use to leverage at the top on the image. There's 2 more things we have to do in order to accomplish this. If I save this, it's probably going to yell at me for something. Whoa, what is going on? Even I messed up something. So my design completely failed, as you can see. So I have to go through and debug this, and I did a couple things way too fast. The first thing I noticed, they didn't actually close the actual quotation marks around slide 1. So this is the great part about going through the terminal, is I really messed this up big time. And I'll show you what I did wrong as I go through it. Let me save and continue forth. And I go, oh, it's not px, it's just pixels. So the max width is just 1200. Pixels are implied, so let me save it. And then, of course, it doesn't know, because I spelled it incorrectly, it yelled at me and said, unknown argument, max width, unfilled fluid of type image sharp. Did you mean max width? And I did. I meant to say max width with a D, and I just messed it up. Here's the great part about Gatsby in general. If you screw up, it kind of tells you where you screwed up. And I screwed up 3 different places. That was my bad. And of course, trying to talk and type at the same time is almost guaranteed to add a mistake. So I left off the quote of slide 01. I added the pixels, and I forgot that in GraphQL, I was typing so much CSS earlier that I can't say PX, and I spelled maxed width wrong. All of that will then change from failed to success. And at the end of the day, I have to keep fixing the errors until it works. And it does. Well, kind of. We haven't actually applied this slide 01 yet to our design. So what I want to do is I want to do a couple things. At the very top, what I'm going to do, and I already have it, so I already did that on occasion early on, is you'll probably have the link on its own at the very top that says link from Gatsby. And what it's going to tell you, if this is the case, that using the global GraphQL tag has been deprecated and will not be supported in version 3. Import it instead like this. Import GraphQL from Gatsby in file. So what I have to do is I have to say link, and just like it has here, I'm going to take the GraphQL and place it inside import from Gatsby. And as I said before, I had that in my previous version before I showed you how to do it. So if you did not have that, please put in the import link GraphQL from Gatsby. Are we okay? Still doing good? Need a cup of coffee? Need something else? Cool. Let's continue. Since we are using the Gatsby image, it is now an uppercase word. So we have to import the image from Gatsby Image. So at the very top, I will say import image, capital IMG, from Gatsby Image. Because I have to declare the capital image, which is different than the lowercase image in this design. So what I'm going to do also, which I also typed ahead, I meant to take all these pieces out, is I want to say props, because props will pass data through my design from the querying language or GraphQL into my design of index page. So I'm going to use the props. That just helps me move things around a lot easier in my design. So once I have the props piece put in, I'm going to take out this image of slide 01. I'm going to say image for, capital image or capital IMG. I'm going to say fluid because we're using either fixed or fluid. And I want this to be fluid. I'm going to say equals sign, and I'll say curly bracket props to pass my data through. Then I'll say data dot. Now we're going to say here our data is what? Our data is slide 01 QL. So data slide 01 QL. What's going to happen to it? If we follow this language down, slide 01 QL utilizes the child image sharp. So I'll bring it in there. And what's below it? It is fluid. Slide 01, child image sharp, fluid. And if we come back up here, we added the fluid and we followed the path all the way through. I'll then say alt, because I have to have the alt information, and say this is the first image. And because it is an image tag, we self-close it and we save it. And let's see if I did it right or if I get a big error message. Oh, what did I not do? Oh, that's actually good. Because I took slide 01 out at the very top, I'm going to just comment that out with a command / on my keyboard on the Macintosh. And since slide 01 is gone and it's replaced with slide 01, and look at that. What you don't see, because it's almost, let me get rid of the astronaut here, just because I'm going to take image and image out. Otherwise, if I don't do both, it's going to yell at me again. What's hard to see is for a split second, and it almost goes so fast because the slide basically loads instantaneously on my computer versus on a server, and it's 40K and all of that. But what happens is if we take a look I'm going to head over to Chrome for a second. And in slide number 1, it's not just, whoa, come back here. It's not just a slide. It's actually a circ set or a source set that takes my picture and breaks it up to different sizes so it can load even faster. Like I said, because I'm on a local host, it's almost hard to tell that this is just basically loading instantaneously. But I went from an image, so if I have slide 02, for example, slide 2 is just an image. Slide 01 is a picture with a source set going forward. And so what I would do is, in this image, well, we've got the first one. Let's duplicate the results. I'm going to copy, and slide 02QL is going to look for slide 02.jpg. 1200 is fine. And if we have slide 02, we have slide 03 going forth. So then, of course, we're going to take the image, capital image, and I'll replace the lowercase with the capital and the capital. And looking for 02 and 03. This is the second image, and this is the third image. And now what I've done is I've replaced the lowercase image with the uppercase image. It doesn't look quite right. Technically, it should be there in that respect. And of course, the warning signs say now that I've taken 02, 03 out, let's go up here and take 02 and 03 out. And now we get successes across the board using, if we save, slide 01, slide 2, slide 3, and we're back on again, and this is a heading, and this is the first slide paragraph. And that's how you can utilize the React, I keep saying React Gatsby today. This is how you can utilize the React Bootstrap Carousel within Gatsby JS, leveraging the Gatsby image, which is the speedy optimize images without the work. I highly contest the without the work part, but basically it gets the job done and makes your site super, super fast without all the images bogging down your site as it loads. So did you get this slide working in terms of the carousels, or did you just bog down in the quagmire and you're just kind of like, oh my God, I have warnings going crazy? If you got it working, I'd love to hear it in the comment section. If you are liking these videos from me, Haydn Adams, a designer that codes, smash that subscribe button, as I am putting content out once to twice a week in terms of designing using code in Gatsby primarily, as it's one of my favorite tools to use out there in building websites. But we can't always build websites unless we learn the coding part of things. As always, once again, I'm Haydn Adams with A Designer That Codes. Thanks again for watching this video. Check us out on patreon.com, where you can download the source code at any of these videos you see here, and supporting us just costs at minimum $3 per month. Thank you for your support.